And good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're listening to this. Welcome to the Back Nine. Dennis Williams is seated at my left. I'm Josh Mora, and we've seen each other quite a bit because we did a couple of things earlier this week as we're recording, which was a lot of fun.
Yep, we've had a lot of going on. We did try to play golf this weekend, and rare kind of crappy weather here in Florida.
Rain.
Yeah, spring rain. We got 9 holes in.
Yeah,
and it was kind of misting and raining, and it was slow, and we were like, we're out of here.
Yeah, and we did the shoot in Sarasota, and we're making a lot of headway on the book, which we'll talk about in future episodes.
Let's talk about how fun that shoot was. I love that. I love working with you and doing that. And for those, there's no way for our listeners to know that we do this commercials for our client, Three Bridges client, 4 Quarters Home Services. And we're 2 play-by-play guys calling out how great they are in service. And it's
this one was baseball.
This is going to be baseball team. It's going to be very, very fun. So we'll have to post some of this stuff on the Back Nine social so we can show what we're doing in our day jobs.
Yeah, I had a ton of fun. The writing was really good. You and Sean did a great job with it, and Craig and that whole studio down there in Sarasota was terrific.
Yeah, that's super fun. We talked about that on the show too. Hey, listen, during all that, weaved in, you had a little health scare, and you're kind of still managing it. Yeah, your turn.
My turn now, right?
Your turn now on the Back Nine to have the health,
so hang on,
health scare. Yeah.
And I say this not for health porn or anything like that, but to be somewhat offer a lesson, I hope, for our audience, for guys. My workout schedule, and I'm in the gym 3 days a week. I ride 3 days a week on the Peloton. I usually the 7th day do something light. And my riding schedule, I have an intervals day, 45 minutes. I have a climb day that's 45 minutes. I have an endurance day on Saturday. So I was in the middle of a 75-minute endurance ride. About 40 minutes in, I started to get a pain in my jaw. And about a minute after that, a pain in my lower teeth started to hurt. I'm like, that's odd, but didn't seem like anything was going on. And then I felt my chest start to tighten. And I kind of was trying to ride through it a little bit. My heart was not beating. It was not, a max heart rate kind of thing. I was steady state, kind of a workout, zone 2, zone 3. And it kept getting tighter, so I stopped. Figure, okay, maybe I'm just going to let it calm down. Started riding again after a couple of minutes, and it came right back. So I got off the bike. I ended up going for a walk around the block, which I probably shouldn't have. Came back into the house. Fortunately, my girlfriend is a nurse. And I told her what's going on. She said, you're chewing 4 baby aspirin, and then we're taking you to the emergency room. And I'm glad we did. They do everything right at the hospital. They get me fluids. They take an x-ray. They do all these tests. And turns out I had suffered an angina, which is when the heart is momentarily not getting enough oxygen. If I'd gone on, I probably could have had a mild heart attack, maybe a severe one. But here's the really important stuff about this. We run all the tests. My blood pressure is great. My heartbeat from the moment I'm in the hospital is in the mid to upper 40s, which is where I am. My heart muscle is pumping at incredible efficiency. All of the tests are top of the chart. My cholesterol is fine. My LDLs are fine. So I end up staying overnight because we're waiting for one CT scan to come back. And we're thinking it's just something momentary that we're going to have to monitor. We get the CT scan back, and my CAC score, which is your calcium score, is off the charts high. And the doctor, the cardiologist who came in said, you have severe coronary artery disease. So I'm, of course, gobsmacked by this. And that's not something anybody could have known if you didn't have this thing. So first, I'm incredibly grateful that the warning I get on this is mild and it's nothing. Right now I'm fine, and the diagnosis is manageable. I'm having a stress test 2 days from the time we're recording this. So by the time this airs, I'll have had that, and in sometime down the road in later April, I'll fill everybody in on what's happened there. Mm-hmm. But it all seems manageable. And the thing is, my diet is 85 to 90% clean. I don't smoke. I rarely drink. Like if I have more than one drink a week, that's a lot. And it's never hard alcohol, except when we're toasting the end of the season, which we did a couple of weeks ago. So you can do all the things right, and you might still have an issue. So my point is, for our audience, pay attention to what's going on in your body. Ask for the advanced blood panels. I mean, maybe we would have caught this if I had done the ApoB test and the Lp(a) test that Barbie Bowles recommended several seasons ago. Barbie, I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you. I mean, I did listen, but I didn't follow it right away. That'll be part of the next one. So yeah, and now, look, every time I exercise now, right? Every time I feel a little, of course I do. And you realize emotionally, okay, someday there's going to be an end to all of this. Right. I'd like it to be as late as possible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you don't know, right? I mean, it's one of those things when you do have a health scare. I mean, I suppose even if you don't, but when you do, you really do more think about when the end might come or what that might look like.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You know, when I had the cancer, it was like, if this was the end, what does that mean? Or if it comes back, what does that mean? It's all that.
What haven't I done yet that I need to do?
All of that mental grind. And you know how much I think about mortality and, you know, just my parents, you know, how much longer they're going to be here and all of that kind of stuff. So, but good for you. Let's back up. Good for you for figuring that out, for understanding and thank you, Marty, for making him go to the hospital, because some guys would be like, "Oh, I'll be fine." So I'm glad she took charge of that and got you in the right place and all the right tests. But you know, you said something that I'm going to reinforce because I've had it done several times. Those multi-panel 60 deep, 55 deep blood tests are so important on the back nine. And your primary care physician won't do it. So you do have to, or 90% of the time won't do it. So you do have to find an integrative doctor or a wellness doctor that will look at all of those blood panels, like the couple, you know, the few that we've talked about at StrataMed and some of the others. It's a critical thing. So I love that you had that done. I preach that all the time. If you're listening, figure out a way to get the full blood panel done, and you'll know what supplements to take. You'll know all of the back end of your body.
The good news is, in all likelihood, the biggest danger is looking backwards. What could have happened? This is manageable. There's additional medicines I can take if we need to. There's other things that we can manage to lower. So if you find that out, you can take care of it. But if you don't, you know, there's no other choice. And it leads perfectly to our guest, who we're so thrilled to have. It's Dr. Achim Zinggrebe, who joins us from Germany. So we have an international guest, and he is a doctor and an author who has dealt with his own health scare, and that's why we bring you in. Achim, it's so great to have you joining us. Maybe the first thing is what's your perspective on what I just shared, or anybody knowing that Dennis has had a health scare too. We'll get into your story in just a second.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. Hindsight is always 2020. So it's easy now to judge about something, and it is a completely different feeling to be in this situation, for which is true for you, both of you, as for myself and for so many others. Advanced tests can be beneficial. Sometimes, you know, probably it's always also a saying in the States. In Germany, you say after the age of 30, you are not you will in any way be sick. You just need a proper diagnosis process. The more you search, the more you find. So I'm to be honest, I'm partly skeptical to which extent, for example, you know, cautiously MRIs every half a year, like someone I know is doing. You will always find something where the radiologist is putting a question mark on. And how much more are you willing to invest in identifying the root cause of this? Is this even something? And how much time will you lose on the way of a definite diagnosis? How much energy, how much joy? And will this be something that really influences you in any way or not? So I'm not against testing, don't get me wrong, but you need a cautious approach to it, in my opinion.
Right. So tell us, back us up into your story. Tell us about your diagnosis and your recovery, and how that all transpired. Take us back to the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I'm medical doctor by training. Worked a lot in hospital, and then I did many years in development of cancer treatments, oncology treatments. And my biggest fear was always getting cancer. And in 2017, I became a cancer patient myself. It was not that it didn't come, honestly, not as a surprise, because I saw big lymph nodes on my neck already some years before that, but I never took myself important enough to dig deep enough into it to identify the root cause.
Hmm.
I always looked for my family, for others, for my company, and so on, but not for myself. So in 2017, I had to face it, um, and all of this really changed how I see medicine, how I see everything that I was trained to do, how I see healing, and yeah, especially how I see life. And not only as a doctor, but also as a patient. I have also, unfortunately, cancer now for the third time. I experience it as a family member. So I know what's going on there.
So I find that, Achim, I find that a really unique perspective, right? Because not only are you a practitioner of medicine, or were you a practitioner of medicine, but this was your field. Oncology was your field, and now you see it from the other side. So what was your experience as a patient, and how does it? You alluded to the fact that it changed the way you think about medicine. In what way?
Yeah, it is change of perspective. I know it's obvious, but it's at the same time it's so strong and so intense. And I often say, as a physician, you are used to explain uncertainty in a way, because you also cannot guarantee how this will progress or won't progress. But as a patient, I realized I'm suddenly living inside of uncertainty. And I had learned so much about diseases in the past, but now I was taught something else by my cancer. It was I learned so much about vulnerability and what this really means. And this is a strong situation, and you both know it. Also in the way afterwards, because yeah, we all know that conventional medicine always follows a protocol, a gold standard. But your inner life doesn't. There is no protocol. There is no gold standard. You just feel so alone. And even if you, and I did this also to a certain extent, you show up strong, and on the outside there's so much instability inside. And I often ask this to people that I support, who say, well, I'm fine, and they realize, no, they're not fine. They are just functioning.
Right. Right.
Difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in remission, and you talk about sort of this mental anguish might be too strong of a word, but it is. I know exactly what you're talking about. Sort of you have to train yourself to not overthink about it, not obsess about it, not worry about it coming back, all those things. So what are sort of the practical ways that you do that, and ways that you can sort of help our audience, help me, help Josh, help others who do have some of that mental anguish sometimes when they're going through this?
Yeah. Well, this mental thing, our thoughts, and our being trained during all of our evolution to see the negative aspects, or to search for potential negative sides, is not helpful here, because even the more information we get, all of this doesn't create stability.
Hmm.
What helps us is orientation. And orientation often comes by the small steps, by the small things that you can do day by day for yourself. I believe that health isn't served you on a silver plate from somebody. Yeah, it's growing inside of us. And realizing more and more who you really are, what your values are, what really is important for you, helps to shape something else. It means that you're not just fixing your body, but it means that you are rebuilding your life. And I have helped so many people just to realize, like I did, wait a minute, are these really my goals? Or are these the goals and the values of my parents, my friends, someone else, my partner? And these small insights that no one outside really cares and doesn't need to care. These are the most important cornerstone to start with.
What's interesting to me about what you've just said, first of all, we should say that you've written a book on exactly this topic. The book is called Rise and Thrive Above Cancer. And we'll ask about those points and how you take us through the book a little bit. But I want to pick up on one thing you just said there, which is your patients and the people that you're seeing now directly one-on-one and managing this stress, this anxiety, even when cancer is in remission, and being able to identify their individual goals. How do you, as a practitioner of medicine, even if that's mental medicine, spiritual medicine, how do you help people find those goals for themselves?
It's basically a structured approach that I developed from all of my practice. And it's not that I invented something. I just brought together everything that I could find anywhere. And I realized that my biggest breakthrough was, for example, with this famous meditation you can take about the rest of your the end of your life, this cemetery meditation, where you reflect on what should people say about you. And this was the moment where I realized that everything that my wife, my family, my friends, anybody, they said other things that were not part of my goals so far. And this was the moment I woke up and also thought, everything that I learned in med school, it's just not enough. It's not enough to treat the body. It's not enough to wait for someone to help me. I need to help myself. I am responsible for myself. And what I see all the time, as holds true for myself, this diagnosis forces you to ask questions that most people postpone for decades.
What does that mean that you're responsible? Can you dig a little deeper in that for us? Like you're responsible. Like take me through those thoughts. I understand the meditation piece, but what does that mean? Define that for me.
Yeah, I believe that you came here for a certain purpose, and it is up to you and your free will if you want to follow this purpose or not. And it is not enough to lean back, to not sit at the steering wheel of your own life and to rely on others that they always will take care of you and will make the best for you. Probably they will do everything that they believe is the best for you, but only you and your soul know what's best for you. It's also about, and I hated this word, self-love. It was unbelievable for me to even say it loudly. So this is so out of this world somehow. And I realized that only if I can love myself, if I can be proud of myself, if I can learn that and realize that even during cancer, still 98% of my body are still working for me and not against me. It's not useful to fight against all of my body, and these are just these small aspects that so many people never told me.
So what is it like for you when you're in a moment, in a session with a patient, and maybe they are feeling somewhat woe is me, and maybe they're not, but that moment nonetheless clicks in with the message that you've just described? Hey, you're in charge here. And they realize it, and they have that epiphany. Describe what that moment is like for you when you see it on a patient's face when it registers.
Well, first of all, I speak very openly and honest words also already in this get to know each other phase before we decide to work with each other, because I only can help someone who is willing to help themselves. And in this moment, it feels like everything is brightening up, because it's bright. It seems like you're. It's like a light switch, but not in the head, in the heart.
Mm.
And afterwards, with every single decision they take, and we are guiding this together, they know that every decision they take is matching their values, the core principles that they want to be remembered for, and every decision will getting easier and easier. Even if everybody around them tells them, "Oh, are you really sure? Oh, you have changed so much. I can't even remember you had ever been like that." Yeah, but that's a compliment, because you're finally going in the right direction, in your direction. And probably you are the only one that can see it, but who cares? It's your life.
Yeah. And I don't know that I feel like there's a switch. I feel like it's always a process, right? Like you aren't to the finish line, right? You by no means, even though you wrote a book and you have all these things, I'm sure you're constantly working on this, right? This is still sort of a practice for you. You didn't like reach the finish line yet, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I believe there is no finish line. Finish line, you could say, is the end of this life.
Right.
Yeah. But this is always a process. Hey, we are just human beings. I have my doubts too, and itching here and there. Oh, is this
right
cancer coming back? It's normal. Yeah. But unfortunately, I have the methods and the toolbox now that I can get rid of these thoughts and fears way faster than I could in the past. So I'm just better prepared.
I have a very practical question for you. What do you do about that sphere of influence you mentioned? Because many of us are so affected by the people around us and their thoughts and their moods and their distraction. Their opinions are always put on us, right? Like everybody's got people around them, their sphere of influence. And you said something earlier where it's about you. And it's about your internal loving yourself and being focused on that. That's easy to say. But how do people actually do that in the real world when they have all of these pressures on them from other people and their opinions that conflict with this entire mantra that you have?
Yeah, excellent question. And I was in the exactly same struggle. What I do is I allow people to do it. And I got once in the past also, someone allowed me. Achim, you can say no. You don't have to listen to this crap. You don't have to listen to the stories of relatives of your friend who died of the same cancer that you have. You are allowed to leave the situation. I would have never done it. But this is also something I just give them. No? You can leave this. You can say stop anytime. This is also what I'm doing with my family. If oh, you poor person, no, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about the weather, or let's talk again next year. But I don't want to. I don't feel comfortable in this situation, and this helps so much because it is extremely difficult to stand to yourself for the first time. It is. It needs unbelievable courage. But if you do it, every single time it becomes easier. And by now it is natural. And again, this pays into self-love and self-respect.
And I know, Achim, this is a big part of the book. And again, the book is called Rise and Thrive Above Cancer. So take us through the arc of the book, the main points, because of course we want our audience to go find it if they need it and to read it. But take us through the main points and what you're trying to accomplish in what you've published.
Yeah, it became, in a way, during this writing process, it became bigger and then smaller again. Bigger in a way that I thought, well, I don't want to write a book about cancer. I want writing a book for everyone, no matter if there is a diagnosis or not. I was convinced to do something else, but yeah, I'll come to that. It started with a question, and I guess you got it too. Why did I get this cancer? Why? Why me? And the answer I received was so that I can be a shortcut for others. And that's why that's the reason for everything I'm doing now. Also the coaching, the video program, the journal that I prepared, and all the other things. And my own cancer journey is just, yeah, it's just a smaller element of this book, as an example that it can also work out quite fine. Because typically you always, and I also read in Dr. Google also only the bad experiences, how the chemo didn't work, the antibody didn't work, everything is getting worse and worse. And you are not reading typically about anyone whose treatment was successful. And I wanted to show something else. And second, and I read a lot of other books, I see this typical two approaches. Either it's a completely scientific book, or it is a very personal book. And sooner or later you get the impression, if you're following the same way as the author, then probably you can be lucky and you can survive. And my opinion is that every single treatment path and way to hopefully healing is highly individual. And that's why I just show my way, and I show myself very, very openly, because I also see that especially men are not ready to show themselves, to show feelings in this situation, to show their fear and everything else. So at least I did it. And I showed also show all the things that I tried. And yeah, I believe that conventional medicine is a useful part, as it was for me at least. And it gave me time that I could use then to try other things. And the more I researched about the book and about the topics that helped me, like affirmations, visualizations, craniosacral therapy, supplements, even like aura healing and energy medicine, the more proof I found, and even clinical trial results, how conventional treatment plus visualization once per week improved the outcome tremendously. And I was since then I'm so surprised, and sometimes, to be honest, also angry to see that we are not learning this in med school. But it's so easy, everyone can do it. Yeah. So I see this also as part of my duty to educate people in a way that they can do much more for themselves, by themselves, than they normally learn.
Yeah, it is amazing. We've heard from other doctors and so forth, and I've spoken to doctors that there's really nothing in medical training that talks about a lot of times about physical fitness and things that you can do mentally and spiritually and all those things. And it's such a part of the body, like you said. So what are some of the things you do on a daily basis, still continuing today, to stay on this path?
The most important thing is probably the first and the last thing I'm doing every single day. And this is saying thank you. Thank you that I can just get up, Thank you for my feet. Thank you for my body. Thank you for my strong organs. Thank you for my dog. Thank you that I can go outside with my dog in the rain. And in the evening, reflecting about what did I write this day? What was okay? Not perfect. It's never about perfect. But what was good enough to be grateful for? Then I'm outside for many hours per day with my dog. Nature is an essential part for me, and reflecting a lot during this time, thinking about the present moment, not about the past, not about the future, but where am I at the moment, and who am I in this moment? And everything that I do around this, also with sometimes I'm doing meditation, not as often as I wished for, to be honest, at this time in my life. But it always is something around grounding myself and remembering that this moment is the only moment that I can influence. And a lot of fear, a lot of doubt just vanishes during this process.
That's so good.
Well,
I got all goosebumpy. Before we let you go, you have another book that's coming out right in the fall, I think. Tell us a little bit about that, because it feels like it's the next chapter in this, to some degree.
Yeah. This I would say it will be called No More Than This. 180 thoughts to rise and thrive, and it's part of what I intended with Rise and Thrive Above Cancer also, meaning to reach everybody. And this is not related to any illness or anything. It's just, I believe that at some point you realize life doesn't need to become bigger. It just needs to become more honest, more you. And this kind of clarity often appears when we stop trying to become someone else, but just stay who you are. And this is a process where I'm leading to this, simply by reading, hopefully, one of these thoughts per day, bring you closer to yourself, more awareness, being more grateful, realizing what's really important for you. Because everything that I did and developed for supporting cancer patients and also their loved ones, of course, it helps. The methods are the same in No More Than This. It's all the same because you don't need to hear this diagnosis until then, before you are allowed to think about yourself and to treat yourself with love. So I just want to, during the rest of my life, I want to pick up human beings the earliest as possible to bring them on their own track, not on my one, on their one. No? So just let me say it this way. I believe that in the beginning of a process, probably I take somebody by the hand and we walk next to each other. And during this way, we just lose our hands and they just walk away slowly because they are strong enough that they know their own track. And I can be grateful and fall back and see it works.
I love that. I can't wait to hear your 180 thoughts, and I'm sure they'll inspire more. That's called No More Than This. It's coming out in the fall. The current book is called Rise and Thrive Above Cancer, available everywhere. You can buy books. You can buy them on Amazon for sure. Achim Zinggrebe, what a privilege to have you on and to share your journey, your story, and what you're doing for the world, for cancer survivors and their families. So thank you so much for being a part of the Back Nine.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Where I want to start is, for the people who are just listening, because he's got the German accent. He joined us from outside of Stuttgart. you might have this image of, an older guy who looks like Einstein because of the voice, but he's a young guy, very boyish face. He's younger than we are. He looks extremely alive and alert. So now if having heard that and you picture that face, the importance of paying attention to what he's talking about, and you know that, of course, firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's mortality is a real thing. And when you face cancer and you face challenges in your life, and a lot of people go through it, you do think about what are people going to say about you at the end? He talked about that. What are people going to say that your legacy is, the mark you left, on this earth? What did you do? And, it's okay. Even before you get a diagnosis, it's okay to be a little selfish. It's okay to be to put yourself first. It doesn't mean you're ignoring others or mean or distant or any of those things. I think they can all work together. And that self-love piece is important.
He talked about that, and flipping what you said is really important. Flipping it to the other side. If you're trying to help somebody, you're reaching out. People want to help their friends and their family who are going through things, and sometimes the patient doesn't always want that help, right? Or at least says the best way you can help me is leave me alone for a little bit. And so what his advice was talking about what you just did, which is step in and do what's right for you. The flip of that is, if you're someone who's trying to help, be patient with them. Listen to what they're asking for. Inquire if you want to show up for them, but recognizing that sometimes the best way you can show up is to create the space for them to go through their thing, by themselves a little bit at times.
Yeah. The other thing from a health perspective that I'd never heard before, and I really wanted to point this out, was when you get that diagnosis, right, you're like, oh, my body's failing. When he said 95% of my body is working for me, there's only that one little part that isn't, right? And I never thought of it like that. Like that is, if you think of it like that, that's really powerful. That 95% should be able to beat that 5%, right? If you really focus on that part of it and not the woe is me 5%.
Right.
That was huge for me. Huge.
Yeah, I that's right. And it reflects kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the show before we brought Achim in, right? I mean, I've got all these great metrics and one little one that isn't, right? So I lean into the stuff that's good, and how grateful, I get to be, because I have been doing all the right things for so long that helped me be in a good position. One more point before I get back to that, which is, I just think about what he's doing. What he said his objective is he wants to help any one person, especially guys who are our age, who get a diagnosis early, learn how to embrace it, accept it, roll with it, and have a positive life afterwards. And that's kind of what we're doing in general, across a broader spectrum of topics for guys in middle age, right? How, as we face all of these things, do we make sure that the rest of our life is the best part of our lives?
Yeah, I mean, we can point to ourselves, right? And as living examples of the greatest setbacks of my life have led to the greatest joys of my life. The health setback has led for me to live a healthier and happier life. My divorce led me to a better, healthier, happier life with someone else. My contract now being renewed job led me to start my own company eventually, and those kinds of things. All of the most major setbacks, if you're willing to notice that and pivot off of them, can lead to your greatest joy. And that's been the story of my existence.
Yeah, and I know that's the message of his book, Rise and Thrive Above Cancer. One of the ways he's going to practice that is through his next book, which is coming out in the fall. It's called No More Than This. He is Dr. Achim Zinggrebe. What a thrill to have him join us. A lot of really good advice. So thanks to him, and thanks to you for letting me talk about my situation as a way of helping to inform our audience of things that they should be looking for.
And the way to end is the way he ends every single one of his days. Thank you.
Thank you.